"You're not welcome here anymore, Dad." Those were the words my son Michael said to me while I was lying in a hospital bed in Vancouver General, 2 days after emergency gallbladder surgery. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because his wife Amanda had decided my lakefront house in Kelowna was more valuable than I was. I'm Robert Chen, 63 years old, and until that phone call, I thought I knew what family meant. Let me take you back to where this really started. 3 years ago, my wife Patricia passed away from ovarian cancer. We'd been married 37 years. The house we'd built together in Kelowna, overlooking Okanagan Lake, suddenly felt enormous and empty. Michael was my only child, and when he suggested that he, Amanda, and my grandson Tyler move in, just temporarily, while they got back on their feet financially, I said yes, without hesitation. Michael had always been a good kid, worked as a regional manager for a telecommunications company. Amanda was a yoga instructor who'd recently quit her studio job to build her brand on Instagram. They had 8-year-old Tyler, who I'd helped raise since he was a baby because, well, they were always too busy. That temporary arrangement stretched from 6 months to a year, then to 2 years. I didn't mind. Tyler's laughter filled the house again. I'd pick him up from school, help with homework, take him fishing on the lake. Amanda and Michael would come home late, eat the dinner I'd prepared, and disappear into their wing of the house. I started noticing things about 18 months in. Small things at first. Amanda asking to borrow money for a new camera setup for her content creation. Then a ring light. Then a complete home studio makeover. Michael would stand there silently while she asked, giving me these apologetic looks that somehow never turned into actual words. "Dad, it's an investment," he'd finally say. "Once Amanda's influencer career takes off, we'll pay you back double." I'd write the check. What else was I going to do? They were my family. The requests got bigger. A new car, because Amanda's Toyota Camry wasn't on brand for someone building a lifestyle empire. $15,000. A trip to Tofino for content creation. $8,000. New furniture for their bedroom because the existing stuff didn't photograph well. $6,000. I was hemorrhaging money, but I told myself it was temporary. They'd get stable. Amanda's follower count would grow. She had 3,000 followers who watched her post about wellness, motherhood, and luxury living. Never mind that the luxury was all mine. Then came the incident that changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning in October. I woke up with severe abdominal pain. I thought it was indigestion at first, but by noon I couldn't stand up straight. I called Amanda, who was in the home office filming a video about morning routines. "Amanda, I need to go to the hospital. Something's really wrong." She appeared in my doorway, holding her phone. "Robert, I'm literally in the middle of filming. I've got the lighting perfect. Can you call an Uber?" I stared at her. "I think it might be serious," she sighed. That particular sigh that made me feel like an inconvenience in my own home. "Fine. Let me just finish this shot. It'll take 5 minutes." 40 minutes later, she drove me to Kelowna General Hospital, complaining the entire way about losing the golden hour light for her content. I was admitted within an hour. Acute gallbladder inflammation requiring emergency surgery. Michael showed up that evening, looking stressed. "Hey, Dad," Amanda told me. "You okay?" "They're operating tomorrow morning," I said. "It's routine, but at my age, nothing's completely risk-free." He nodded, checking his phone. "Listen, I can't stay long. We've got this thing. It's fine, son. Go home. Take care of Tyler." He left after 20 minutes. The surgery went well. I woke up groggy, in pain, with tubes and monitors attached to me. The nurses were kind. My doctor said I'd need to stay in the hospital for a few days, then several weeks of recovery at home. No heavy lifting. Limited mobility. I called Michael the next day. He didn't answer. I tried Amanda. Straight to voicemail. Finally, on day 2 post-surgery, Michael called back. "Hey, Dad." His voice sounded strange, distant. "Michael, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. The doctor says I can be discharged tomorrow, but I'll need help at home for a few weeks." Silence on the other end. "Michael? Dad, we need to talk about living arrangements." My heart rate monitor started beeping faster. "What do you mean? Amanda and I have been discussing it, and we think it's time you moved somewhere with more support." a retirement community or assisted living. Somewhere with nurses on staff who can help you recover properly. I couldn't process what I was hearing. Michael, I'm 63, not 93. I just need a few weeks to heal. I'll be fine. It's not just about now, Dad. You're getting older. The house is too big for you to maintain. The stairs could be dangerous. Amanda's been researching some really nice facilities in Vernon. They have activities, social programs. That's my house, Michael. Our house. The house your mother and I built. His voice got harder. Actually, Dad, we've been meaning to talk to you about that too. Amanda and I have invested so much into that property. The studio, the furniture, the landscaping improvements for her photo shoots. We've been thinking it makes more sense if you transfer the house to us. We'll take care of you, of course. But this way, there are no complications later with estate taxes and inheritance issues. I felt like I'd been hit in the chest. You want me to give you my house while I'm in a hospital bed recovering from surgery? It's not like that, Dad. Don't be dramatic. We're trying to help you. You'll be taken care of. Let me talk to Tyler, I said suddenly. Put your son on the phone. Another pause. He's at school. Then I'll call tonight. Actually, Dad, Amanda thinks it's better if Tyler doesn't visit you in the hospital. It's upsetting for him to see you like this. And honestly, until you're more cooperative about the living situation, we think it's best if you don't come back to the house. We'll pack up your essentials and bring them to whatever facility you choose. The monitor was beeping louder now. A nurse poked her head in, concerned. You're telling me I'm not welcome in my own home? Don't be difficult, Dad. We're doing this for your own good. Amanda's already started looking at your room for a potential expansion of her content studio. The light in there is amazing. Something in me broke. Or maybe it finally healed. Get out of my house, Michael. What? You heard me. You have 30 days. That's the legal requirement in British Columbia for eviction. I'm texting you this officially as soon as we hang up. 30 days, then I want you out. You can't be serious. Dad, I'm your son. A son who just told his father not to come home while he's recovering from surgery. A son who wants to steal his house. I have never been more serious in my life. Amanda's not going to like this. I don't give a damn what Amanda likes. 30 days, Michael. I'm hanging up now. I need to call my lawyer. I ended the call. My hands were shaking. The nurse was taking my blood pressure, murmuring about stress not being good for recovery. But here's the thing about rock bottom. Once you hit it, there's nowhere to go but up. I called my lawyer, James Wu, who'd handled Patricia's estate. I explained the situation. He was quiet for a long moment. Robert, I need to ask you something. Have you signed any documents recently? Power of attorney, property transfers, anything like that? No, why? Because if what you're telling me is true, we need to check the land title registry immediately. People who think they're entitled to a house sometimes try to forge documentation. My blood ran cold. Can you check? I'll do it today. In the meantime, change all your passwords, bank accounts, everything. And Robert, document everything. Every conversation, every text message. I spent the next 3 days in the hospital making calls and sending emails from my phone. I changed my banking passwords. I set up alerts for any unusual activity. I called the Land Title and Survey Authority of British Columbia myself to put a security freeze on my property. That's when I found out. There was a pending application to transfer the property title, filed 6 days before my surgery. The signatures looked like mine, but I'd never seen the documents before. Amanda and Michael had already tried to force the transfer. They'd forged my signature on a property deed transfer form, claiming I was gifting them the house due to declining health and cognitive issues. The only reason it hadn't gone through yet was a backlog in processing. I had maybe a week before it would have been finalized. James Wu went to work immediately. We filed a police report for fraud and forgery. We filed an emergency injunction to stop the property transfer. We documented everything. I was discharged from the hospital on day 5. James had arranged for me to stay at a recovery hotel near the hospital with nursing support, rather than risk going back to my house while Michael and Amanda were still there. That's when Tyler found me. I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard my grandson's small voice. Grandpa, it's me. Tyler. Buddy, how are you calling me? I used Mom's old phone. She doesn't know I have it. Grandpa, I heard them talking. Mom and Dad. My heart broke. Tyler, it's complicated. I recorded something. Mom doesn't know. She was talking to her friend Jess about you. I was hiding on the stairs. Can I send it to you? What kind of recording, buddy? I think you should hear it. I'm scared, Grandpa. I don't like how they talk about you. He sent me the file. I played it on my laptop with James sitting next to me. Amanda's voice came through clearly. She was on speakerphone. I know, right? He actually thinks we're going to let him come back. Jess, that house is worth $2.4 million. Once we get him into assisted living and the property transfer goes through, we're set. Michael will finally be able to quit his job, and I can focus on my brand full-time. Her friend Jess. But isn't he suspicious? Amanda laughed. He's old and just had surgery. He's weak right now. We just need to keep him away until everything's finalized. His lawyer can't stop it once it's done. By the time he figures out what happened, we'll have sold the place and moved to Vancouver. He'll be stuck in some retirement home wondering what happened. What about Tyler? Tyler will adjust. Kids are resilient. He doesn't need to know his grandfather was basically a bank we drained dry. Michael feels guilty sometimes, but I keep reminding him that money was going to be his inheritance anyway. We're just getting it early. The recording ended. James and I sat in silence. That, James said quietly, is evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud and elder abuse. With your permission, I'm giving this to the police today. Do it. The next 2 weeks moved fast. The police investigation opened immediately based on the recording and the forged documents. Amanda and Michael were arrested at the house. Tyler was temporarily placed with Amanda's parents while the case proceeded. I got an emergency restraining order and took possession of my own house back. Walking through it after they were gone was surreal. My bedroom had been completely emptied and converted into Amanda's studio. My furniture was gone. She'd painted over Patricia's favorite pale blue walls with stark white and installed professional lighting. They'd sold my belongings, my wife's antique dresser, my father's watch collection, photo albums, all gone, sold on Facebook Marketplace to fund their lifestyle. I found Amanda's laptop in the studio. She hadn't logged out. Her emails detailed everything: messages to furniture buyers, plans for the house sale, a draft Instagram announcement about moving to our beautiful new Vancouver loft with photos of my house listed as their home. The trial took 8 months. In that time, I focused on healing, both physically and emotionally. I joined a support group for family estrangement. I volunteered at a senior center. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since Patricia died. Tyler's therapist recommended supervised visits with me. The first time I saw him after everything happened, he ran into my arms crying, "I'm sorry, Grandpa. I should have told you sooner what I heard." "You did tell me, buddy. You saved me. You're the bravest kid I know." The verdict came down in June. Amanda was convicted of fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. 2 years in prison plus 5 years probation and mandatory community service at an elder care facility. The judge called her actions a calculated exploitation of familial trust and a vulnerable individual. Michael was convicted on lesser charges since the prosecution proved Amanda was the primary orchestrator, but he received 1 year in prison plus probation for conspiracy and complicity. He'd known what was happening and had helped. The financial restitution was enormous. They had to repay every dollar I'd given them, plus damages, plus my legal fees. They had nothing. The car Amanda bought was repossessed. They'd already spent everything. But here's what surprised me. 3 months into his sentence, I got a letter from Michael. It was 12 pages, handwritten. He didn't make excuses. He didn't blame Amanda, though he did explain how he'd gotten lost in her ambitions, how he'd convinced himself they deserved my money because they were struggling and I was comfortable, how he'd watched me grieve Patricia, and instead of helping, he'd seen an opportunity. "I became someone I don't recognize," he wrote. "I let my wife convince me that using you was the same as loving you. I let her turn me into a thief who stole from his own father. I watched her erase Mom's memory from that house, and I said nothing. I told you not to come home while you were recovering from surgery. Dad, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know that every single day in here, I wake up and have to face what I've become, and it destroys me." I didn't write back immediately. I sat with that letter for weeks. Tyler came to live with me after the trial. Amanda's parents were too old to take him full-time, and the courts agreed he was better off with me. We turned Amanda's studio back into a bedroom for him. We painted it blue, like Patricia would have wanted. We hung photos of his grandmother everywhere. One Saturday morning, Tyler and I were making pancakes when he asked, "Grandpa, do you think Dad will ever be good again?" I flipped a pancake, thinking, I think people can change, if they truly want to. But change is hard work. It's not just saying, sorry, it's becoming a different person through action, every single day. Are you going to forgive him? I'm working on it, buddy. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or letting someone hurt you again. It means releasing your own anger so it doesn't poison you. But trust has to be earned back, piece by piece. When Michael was released after serving 8 months with good behavior, he didn't ask to move back in. He got a small apartment in Kamloops, 2 hours away. He found work at a call center. He started attending therapy and support groups for financial abuse perpetrators. He asked if he could see Tyler. I said yes, supervised visits only, with a therapist present. He asked if he could see me. I said no, not yet. 6 months later, he asked again. By then, he'd been working consistently, attending every therapy session, paying back restitution from his minimum wage job even though it would take him 20 years. We met at a coffee shop in neutral territory, Penticton, halfway between us. He looked older, thinner. There were lines on his face I didn't recognize. "I'm not here to ask for anything," he said immediately. "I just wanted you to see that I'm trying to become someone Tyler can respect again. Someone you might eventually be able to tolerate in the same room." "Why?" I asked. "Why now? Why not 3 years ago when you watched Amanda bleed me dry?" He stared at his coffee. "Because I was weak. Because I wanted the easy path. Because I convinced myself that taking from you was somehow different than stealing. I told myself you owed me for being your son, for giving you a grandson. Dad, I was wrong about everything. Amanda's getting out in 18 months. What happens then? We're divorced. Finalized last month. I'm not going back to that. Tyler deserves better. You deserve better. I deserve to be alone if it means learning to be a better person." I watched him, this broken version of my son, finally telling the truth. "I'm not ready to forgive you, Michael. I don't know if I'll ever be ready." He nodded. "I understand, but I'm willing to let you keep trying. For Tyler's sake. And maybe, eventually, for yours." His eyes filled with tears. "That's more than I deserve." "Yes," I agreed. "It is. That was 8 months ago." Michael drives down every other Sunday now to see Tyler. They go to therapy together. Tyler's learning to trust his father again, slowly. Michael's learning to be a parent instead of a user. As for me, I'm learning that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about respect, honesty, and showing up when it matters. Tyler and I have created our own little family here in this house, overlooking the lake. We fish on weekends. He helps me in the garden. We talk about his grandmother and keep her memory alive. Amanda gets out of prison next year. Her Instagram account is deleted. Her influencer dreams are dead. She'll be 68 years old before she's off probation, required to work with the very seniors she tried to exploit. Sometimes Tyler asks if he'll have to see her. I tell him the truth. That's his choice to make when he's ready. But she'll have to earn even the smallest piece of his trust back. The house is truly mine again. I've repainted, replaced the furniture with pieces that honor Patricia's memory. The walls are full of photos, Tyler's artwork, fishing trophies, reminders of what family should be. I'm 64 now. I have maybe 20 or 30 good years left, if I'm lucky. I'm spending them with people who actually value me as a person, not a bank account. Michael sent me a card last week for my birthday. Inside, he'd written, "I can't give you back the years I stole, but I promise to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of being called your son again." I haven't decided if I'll respond yet, but I'm keeping the card. Because here's what I've learned through all of this. You can love someone and still protect yourself from them. You can hope for someone's redemption while maintaining boundaries. You can forgive without forgetting. And you can be 64 years old, recovering from betrayal, raising your grandson, and still build a life worth living. That's exactly what I'm doing. One day at a time, in my house, overlooking the lake, with Tyler's laughter echoing through rooms that finally feel like home again.